And this is New Day. You're welcome to Big Issues. And of course, we're going to talk about issues that have been on the lips of many Ghanaians. And the illegal mining issue, or Galamsey as it is popularly called, has been on the lips of many Ghanaians, like I just said. And this time around, it seems that people are resolute. They want the issue dealt with, not tomorrow, not next year, not in the next 5 years, but they want action now. And if you've been following us, we've been delving into all the calls that are coming through for the small-scale mining activities to be banned in the country. We've also heard the Land Ministry's response to this call, even also as a call also from the Small-Scale Miners Association, and all of that they are saying about. You just watched Koki introduce our guest here, and we have George Money, NPP Assistant Regional Secretary, Western Region. Good morning to you, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, good morning, and thanks for having me here.
We also do have Abraham Amaliba, Director of Conflict Resolution for the opposition, NDC. Thank you so much for joining us on New Day.
There's something which is dear to my heart, and I want to spew it out. At the bar conference, I was appalled at the corruption that engulfed the election of a bar president. I'm a lawyer, and I think that my association did not cover itself in glory. The government apparently had a preferred candidate and pumped in money. Then that candidate used that money to literally get his way through to be made the president.
Mrs. Gate? She's the one who won, and she's the first female president of the Bar Association.
Yes.
I mean, that's not part of the issues we're talking about.
Yes, but there's something which is dear to my heart. I am appalled at the way the lawyers allow themselves to be corrupted so as to get that outcome. I am disappointed. These are the same people who become judges. And when we sit on radio and say that we know judges who take bribes, it's because of some of these things.
Mr. Amaliba, I haven't introduced the last guest yet.
Yes.
Let me just do so, and then I'll come back to what you're saying, because I'm just wondering what evidence you even have really to make these claims that there was corruption at this election. But we also do have with us Andrew Apia Dankwa, private legal practitioner, communications team member, Movement for Change. That's Mr. Ala Tremontin. Thank you, sir. Good morning, and thank you for joining us on Big Issues.
Yeah, morning, Belinda. Victory, sorry.
Yes, indeed. Thank you.
Yeah, I hope
joined. Actually, he's already joined us. Professor Paul Poku Sampene, or say he is pathologist scientist, senior lecturer, KNUST. He'll be delving into the health issues of illegal mining, why we've sat down for this to happen, ordinary Ghanaians aiding foreigners into our forest water bodies, and perhaps why the government has also failed to deal with this very issue while we're here. Abraham Amaliba, what evidence do you have that there was corruption at this election?
People were called, lawyers were called for them to agree to have their conference fees paid for, to have their accommodation paid for, to have their shuttle within Kumasi paid for, so they vote for a particular candidate. Calls were received, and people are there to testify. I am not saying that what the government did alone is bad. I am saying that lawyers, my colleagues, who are supposed to know better, should have refrained from engaging in those practices. Because this our profession is a noble one. And if you have lawyers engaging in that, I would disassociate myself from that.
Mr. Amaliba, we'll move on from there, but again, I'll repeat that you're making these claims, you're saying that people have been called, but you haven't given us any evidence to support this claim you're making.
The calls were made to human beings, and they are ready to line up and give evidence.
So when they are ready to do that, but for now, we don't have any evidence from you, so we disassociate ourselves from this claim. People are praising the fact that for the first time, a woman has been elected to be president of the GBA. So when you have evidence, we can have that conversation. But I told you that for the past 2 weeks or more, the nation has been talking about illegal mining because they have seen and realized the devastation it has caused our water bodies. Babies are being born with deformities, some not having organs in mining communities. In fact, we do understand that 8 out of 10 kidney-related diseases come from mining communities. And you will understand that we are struggling in our cocoa sector right now because over 16,000 hectares of our cocoa farmlands have been destroyed by illegal mining. Not to talk about the fact that recently the Ghana Water Company Limited also said that it could not treat about 50% of our waters. And if you've had the opportunity to watch some of the videos we've been showing you, it's quite sad, the color of the water bodies and the fact that by 2030, that's the prediction by the Ghana Water Company Limited, we will not have water to drink as a country. And that's why we are still staying on this issue. And we'll shortly be crossing over to Professor Osei, who is standing by to give us a breakdown because he's done some work into this area and really the impact of it on our health and eventually our economy and every aspect of it. But let me also tell you that there have been a lot of calls. The calls have intensified. Yesterday, religious leaders led by the Archbishop of the Christian Action Faith Ministry, Nicholas Duncan Williams, signed a statement calling for a ban on small-scale mining. We've had organized labor giving the government or threatening to hit the streets if nothing is done about it now. We also have another deadline, as it were, from UTAG saying that if by 30th of this month the government has not been able to deal with illegal mining, there will be serious action from that front as well. So let's get this going. Let's establish really the health impact as we have it now. We're joined via video call by Professor Paul Poku-Sampene Osei. Prof, I know that you've done extensive work into this. Just give us a breakdown really over the years how the inability, I should put it, of Ghanaians and leadership to deal with this very issue has affected us, particularly on our health. Prof, if you can hear me, I'm asking you to give us a breakdown of the impact of illegal mining, or as we call it, galamsey, on our health. And I'm sure there will be some rippling effects in other areas of our lives as well as a country.
Okay, thank you so much, Madam Host. Let me start by appreciating you for the opportunity given. And that I'm also extending same greetings to the panelists on board the program today. I must also say a very big thank you to UTAG, Ghana Medical Association, and all other bodies that have joined hands in this fight against this galamsey, or the so-called mining, either small scale, large scale, or whichever way we may call it, that seeks to pollute our air, water bodies, and even our soil. If had it not been you, some of these things that we are doing wouldn't have come to light. We would be in our labs, in our various universities, doing our thing. And as usual, nobody will be interested in reading even the research work that we do, the results. So I'm most grateful for the opportunity. But let me also add that our generation seems to be, despising everything our elderly or our elders valued. And so therefore, we seek to mock and then scorn everything that they have done. And that is very sad. I'm saying this on the background that if you look at the reactions that the various, in fact, this government has taken when this matter came up for the government to take a stance as to declare the state of emergency. And if you look at what we are seeing and what we are hearing, it's so disheartening, especially when they have whatever it takes to make sure that things are done the right way. in terms of, we are not saying that the ban should be, perpetual, but rather the ban should be, in place so as to have some form of a change of direction and so forth. Because if you look at it and you take some people who are rather the very people who have encouraged, continue to encourage these miners to do whatever they are doing, and then you tell me that they are the very ones who are going to enforce the law this time, then it's something that personally, and I believe that a lot of Ghanaians don't understand. Okay, let's get back to whatever it is that I'm here this morning. If you look at the health impact of Galamsey, I believe that is something that is very clear to everybody to see. I started this work somewhere 2020 rather, 2020, and then came to a conclusion that yes, there is a link between those who live in Galamsey sites or mining sites and then the birth defect that they actually see in their communities. And then the conclusion was that something must be done to avert it. Then later on, we got to understand also that some people are also having all manner of diseases, including skin, kidney, liver, brain, and the GIT pathologies. And so therefore, we realize that we are heading towards a very serious place, and therefore we need to do something about it. And that is exactly what I've done so far, and I'm still doing it. As recent as 2 months ago, I picked some water bodies from these areas where mining is being done. And then we realized that up to 3.5 kilometers away from this Galamsey site, or where mining has been done and abandoned, I'm talking about the site being abandoned or even actively mining, 3.5 kilometers away from this site, we could see appreciable values of mercury, lead, cyanide, and other heavy metals within their water bodies, even though the quantities vary as you move away from the Galamsey site. But of course, it's appreciable enough to cause, all manner of health issues, because some of these ions or some of these metals are bio-undegradable, and so therefore it can anytime cause problem when it is accumulated in the quantity that can actually cause DNA and DNA mutations and chromosomal aberrations or chromosomal changes, and that can cause all manner of problems for us if nothing is done about it.
If nothing is done about it, you say, Prof. But of course, we have the statistics that kidney diseases are on the rise, even among infants or children. Now, you're telling us about other diseases as well, including skin. Are you able to tell us, based on what you've done, how worse this is getting beyond the statistics we know of kidney diseases?
Well, I can always, tell the story of what is happening based on this research that I'm doing and I continue doing, and even those that I've done. I said that just about 2 months ago, our team of researchers picked, apart from the water bodies, we are still continuing doing work. On mothers who, for some reason, went into labor and could not make it. When we take their placenta together with the babies, when the babies have also lost their life as a result of all this protracted labor, you realize that the placenta still contains high level of mercury, high level of lead, and high level of cyanide. And so, if you come to Komfo-Anokye or you have gone to any of these hospitals that are very close to Galamsey site, there's a high level of kidney diseases there. High level of skin diseases, funny diseases such as cancer of the skin, and then the liver cancers. In fact, the brain, as we speak now, I sometimes look at it and say that, look, come some few years to come, you get people working and you feel that this is a human being working, but basically the brain is not working in terms of all manner of things that we are seeing. Because if you inhale mercury, which has been sent, are going to pollute the atmosphere, the air, and people are inhaling it, because there are so many means by which we can get ourselves intoxicated by some of these things. Either we inhale, we ingest, or we drink, or we whatever things, or we even swim in it, because sometimes some of these children, for something that is unknown to them, jump into some of these water bodies and start swimming. And these water bodies are all contaminated. I'm talking about the very ones that have been left by the galamseyers or the mining workers. They don't cover them. People are being drowned in these open waters that have been collected in these pits. As young as 2 years, children are being drowned into it. And so you can imagine the sort of thing that we are looking at. No attempt is being made to cover them. So the problem is a little bit serious, and I believe that whoever is in power should do something about it. I'm not the one calling for total ban. I'm not interested in total ban, but what I'm interested in is the fact that, yes, there should be a stop somewhere, and this time we are not going to allow politicians to dictate to us as to what to do, but we should be involved in the decision as to who should do what at any given time, so that the politicians will not have a field day and feel that once you are voted into power, you will suddenly become the most wisest person on earth, in Ghana or on earth. That is not the right thing to do. We should be able to, take our own destiny into our own hands.
And Prof, a lot of people are with you on this point about taking our destiny into our own hands, not allowing politicians to dictate to us, especially when they are in power and think that they have all the wisdom there is. I want us to watch a video because there's evidence here to support what Professor Osei is telling us. Let me tell you that some of the content are a bit sensitive. Viewer discretion is advised, but watch this.
Preserved in formalin at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology for observation. He or she is not your normal baby. Baby X is deformed. It has no genitals. It has 6 fingers and 6 toes and a malformed head. This baby was discovered by Professor Osei Sampini, a pathologist, scientist, and a senior lecturer with the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology.
The first case I had was in the Western North, which is BBNE to be precise. The mother was sent to the labor ward. She couldn't make it, so she died. And you see, once the person dies, usually the doctors will not go ahead to do cesarean section. The baby and the mother are sent to the morgue, and then another person comes in to remove the baby.
This was after the autopsy to separate the baby from the mother, who died before delivery.
The baby or the fetus that was in the mother's womb was deformed. Deformed in the sense that the baby had multiple limbs, including, I'm talking about upper and lower limbs. The eye was not well formed, fused together. He had no sexes, that is, there was no identifiable sex. And generally, in medicine we call it dysmorphic, where you could not see anything that makes the baby, if he had been even born, would have lived comfortably in life.
Professor Sampini traces the cause of the deformities to heavy concentrations of lead, mercury, and cyanide found in the placenta.
Mercury, cyanide, lead, and arsenic, yes, in that order. They were all there. They were all there. Of course, in some appreciable concentration that could be damaging to the normal function or the normal development of the DNA, the baby, and so on and so forth.
Quite disturbing images you just saw there, but that baby you just saw in the footage was discovered by Professor Osei, the man we're having a conversation with. And what you watched were excerpts of a documentary done by Joy News on the impact of illegal mining on us. Prof is still on the line via video call with us. Prof, you discovered this baby. Just tell us a bit more about this and whether or not the death of the mother is also associated with this information that you gave us in this documentary.
Oh, yes, you see, if you had spoken with any doctor, especially our obs and gynae specialist, especially the obstetrician, they would tell you that for a mother to be able to deliver, the efforts are made by the baby and that of the mother. Of course, the mother takes the chunk of the effort, but the babies also play an important role. And so for a baby to play such an important role, I'm talking about spontaneous vaginal delivery, where the baby and the baby is delivered through the vagina. And so in that sense, there should be some synchronization. But if there is any deformity, which of course, especially the one that we saw, the deformity was very vast, which included the brain. In fact, all the organs that hitherto would have helped the mother and the baby to have synchronization for a successful delivery was not there. And so this woman will actually go into prolonged labor, which of course we know that labor is something that takes a specific time to actually come out. I mean, so when it delays, the child goes into what we call asphyxia, which will lead to what we call a brain death, and then the mother, after struggling to deliver the baby, will not come out, successfully, will also go into some form of respiratory distress and dies, or cardiorespiratory distress and die. So, in fact, this is only a tip of the iceberg. I have so many of them. Which, of course, I was not allowed to take the babies actually, but those that I was allowed to carry the baby for further investigations, I was able to do that. But there are so many, this is just about a few, you see. And so sometimes I find it very sad when you are looking at generational extinction like this and people are sitting down there claiming that it gives money to people. People are being employed as a result of this illegal mining or small-scale mining. Armed robbers are also employing people. Can we encourage armed robbery? It's so sad that politicians sometimes behave the way they behave. Very, very sad. Very, very sad.
Too many of them, you say. Prof, we'll come back to you, but let's come to our guest right here in studio. And you just mentioned Bibiani because the baby we just saw in that footage, you said, was from a mother who lived in Bibiani. And let
me add this. I'm saying that I have so many, not only Bibiani. I covered Western region, Western North, Central region, part of Central region, and then part of Eastern region. But of course, Bibiani, as in Western region, I think Western North rather, and then Western region proper from not Tapradi per se, but Wasel Kopono. You see all these things there. So Bibiani was one of the places that Asare Donko chanced upon when we were having the discussion. There are many of them.
There are many of them, and we'll get a response from the MPP representative who is in studio with us, George Money, because he is actually from the Western North as well. He's a regional secretary in the Western North for the NPP. But let me start with you, Mr. Abraham Amaliba. I just, in my intro earlier, said that whilst majority of Ghanaians are calling for a ban on small-scale mining, you just heard the prof there. He's not totally enthused about a total ban, but a temporary one. We also have small-scale miners saying that we are actually misshooting because we need to look at the illegal miners and not necessarily small-scale miners. From where you sit, should we ban it or not?
So, good morning to your viewers. I tend to agree to what the prof said, including what the small-scale miners are saying. Why am I saying this? Our concern is with illegal mining. That is what is devastating to us. That is what is causing the environmental degradation. those who are licensed to mine, including the big companies, are doing it under a certain regulation or regime. And so that is not our problem. Our problem is those who engage in illegal mining. And so the ban that people are calling for cannot necessarily extend to the small-scale miners because they have invested in their work, and if you do that, it means that you are stopping them from having their livelihood because there's no evidence to show that they are the ones who are degrading the environment. Having said that, is there a political will to, as well, stem the tide? The answer is no. You remember we heard some of the party executives of the MPP say party hiestika. You remember we had a situation where the MPP said that it lost parliamentary seats along that enclave, the mining enclaves. And for that matter, they are not going to deal with the matter this time round. Now, if you have such comments and you have such lack of political will coming from the government, then you can understand why we are where we are. You also have top party executives engaged in mining illegally. Take Akonta Mine. Owner is, what's his name? Wontumi. And so if you have such a situation, I'm even told from the Frimpong Boaten's report that people close to the Flagstaff House or even working in the Flagstaff House are also engaged in it. The Frimpong Boaten report.
And you know that's a report the government has dismissed.
But what hasn't the government dismissed? They are even dismissing the closure of our stadium, that the CAF should come back and look at it again.
It's asking CAF to look at the University of Ghana one, which was recently launched.
But they know that its capacity is 20,000, less than 20,000. And it cannot host international games. So who is there? Who is at the sports ministry not knowing these things, these fundamental things?
Mr. Madiba, I want to put you on your word. You're saying that there's a lack of political will. Are you restricting it to this current government?
I am talking about what is currently happening today.
But if you're talking about political will, I guess you want to admit that there has not been any political party that has been willing to deal with this.
That is what you do, and we cannot fight. That is what you do. And we cannot move forward. We are stagnant.
No, but
there's a government that has left office 8 years ago. What business do you as a host have to be referring to that government 8 years ago?
I am not referring to government 8 years ago.
But what are you saying?
You're saying that we are looking at this issue holistically, and you're limiting it to a particular administration. And because I'm saying that it has started from one point to the other.
Because today, when this professor is talking, he's not talking about 8 years ago. Today, when the small scale, the peasant farmers are complaining that mercury or whatever enters our food to eat, they are not talking about yesterday. We are talking about today.
I think the point I want to make with this
reference... You are not making any point.
...is that for over the years, as a country, we have failed to deal with it collectively as individuals in our respective homes or as political leaders.
When you take this chair, you can talk that way. But here I am. I am saying that we have elected a government into place. The wrongs of yesteryear and the wrongs of today are to be corrected by that government. That's why we vote governments into office. If you don't know what governments are supposed to do, governments are supposed to deal with the welfare needs of the people. So when you come and you promise the people heaven on earth, and you told the people you will develop this country in 18 months, and you have failed to do that, and I'm saying that you have failed. You say, oh, how about Diabo de Azambuja's time? How about Nkrumah's time? Are we moving forward with that kind of argument? So the next government will come and say that, oh, if I even do it this way, they will also refer to the last government. Let's put a stop to that.
Mr. Maliba, I'll come back to you.
Why you come back to me? Let me finish my submission. Now, the point is this. If we have good practices where Galamsey doesn't take place, can't we learn from that? I know in Doma, the Doma Hine does not allow that. I am told that Agogo, I don't know, the Agogo Hine, Sapon, Nana, Akwako Sapon, that takes place there. How come that in some, and I'm aware that the Asante Hine also cracks the whip on his sub-chiefs who engage in that. So my question is, how do we have these areas not engage in that activity, whilst in some areas they are engaging in it and destroying the environment? I believe that government can do something, can learn, can pick a leaf from the conduct of these leaders I've mentioned, the chiefs that I've mentioned. I have not seen the Nana Akufo-Addo reprimand any of his subordinates who have been found engaged in that. What he does is rather to clear the person, and that's what's his name? The Ashanti region minister, Akonta Mines. So if you have a president who is so lukewarm towards what is happening to the people, you have these things. And I'm telling you, look, it says that in football we have a CAF that has a responsibility to look at the internal affairs of member states. If we had a confederation of African lands that can also look into our lands matters here, they would have declared some of our areas of Galamsey as inhabitable, and by now they would have recommended evacuation of people from those areas.
Mr. Maliba, like I said, I'll come back to you. Let me come to you, George Money. Mr. Maliba, he's just sitting by you and he's saying that...
George Money.
George Money, yes. George Money, yes. He's just saying that your government has failed. The MPP has failed at dealing with this matter. The reason we're here talking about whether or not there's a need to ban small-scale mining.
Thank you very much. But before I tackle the Galamsey issue, I think I would have to, as somebody from the Western North region and as somebody who is a PC, when I say PC, it doesn't mean parliamentary candidate, but in the cocoa term means a purchasing clerk, and also as somebody who farms, who does cocoa production, I need to applaud the government and then the Ghana Cocoa Board for increasing the price of cocoa. As it stands now, Ghana's price is the highest within the sub-region. Ours is about $3 per kilo.
I don't think that is accurate.
No, that's it. Ours is $3 per kilo.
But Ivory Coast is so higher. And we haven't even seen the 2025
it's not
price.
True. Ivory Coast announced that you can check from the Council of Cocoa,
but can we stick
Cocoa and Coffee.
Can we stick to that?
It's $2.48 per kilo in Ivory Coast.
If you want to go to the cocoa sector, you know there are a lot of issues there.
No, I'm coming. I said per the price. I'm being specific, right? And I have my fact. I'm telling you, I am a PC. I buy the cocoa myself.
That's fantastic.
As somebody who is in the industry, and I need to applaud the government for doing such a thing.
Can you tell us?
It's very important because we are talking about Galamsey, where we are looking for an alternative livelihood for the people who are engaged in Galamsey. And it's also very important because when you look at where Galamsey is taking place, most of the lands were previously used for cocoa cultivation. So if the prices of cocoa is high, then it means it can serve as a motivation for people not to be engaging in that, but to
Mr. Money, you know that's not accurate. That's not accurate because we are struggling with our cocoa production because our lands have been taken over by illegal miners.
That is what I'm saying.
We have been struggling. I just want us to stick to the topic, but I just also want to bring the facts to you that we have been struggling with keeping cocoa in the country because people are smuggling out of the country. And yesterday, just a second. Yesterday, we spoke to a representative who said that they were looking for 65% to 70% increment. The government is only giving 45%. That is not enough to motivate any farmer.
Those things are never true. We can go into the spot pricing and future market.
And,
we just don't look at prices at spot and say that is how cocoa should be sold.
Perhaps we will have another conversation on that. But can you really stick to this?
I'm going to go into this, but I'm saying that cocoa production, if you motivate a lot of people to produce cocoa, it's a way of reducing galamsey. Now, back to the topic of galamsey. I'm coming from a region where we have 7 out of the 9 regions engaged in mining activities. I'm also coming from a district within that same region which has no mining activities ongoing, despite the fact that the geological survey report shows that we have a lot of gold on our land, yet there is no mining activity. That is Bia East and Bia West, no mining activities. I also have a background in land reclamation because I was a project manager for Ecosystems International from February 2017 to June 2017, and we were responsible for reclaiming lands in Achim Apapem, Achim Adadientem, Achim Ebokwa, and even contributed to the Chebi Industrial Park. So I have a lot of insights there.
Now to the question.
To fight galamsey, we need to adopt a very nationalistic approach. If we try to play partisan politics with it, we will not achieve anything.
Sorry,
the reason why, no, I'm coming. The reason why we need to adopt a nationalistic approach is to ensure cohesion and also to ensure continuity. It is also to ensure that the people who would participate in the fight will get to know that despite the regime, the approach is the same. But if we go the line, as what my brother Amaliba was suggesting, the line of politics, we will be pointing accusing fingers towards each other, but I don't think that is what we have to do. And let nobody also deceive us that galamsey is only prevalent in the southern sector. You see, I have my friends, they did a research and it's published research. This was done in the Upper West region. And their conclusion was that if you go into any mining community in the Upper West region, 69.3% of the local people are engaged in that, which means that to tackle the issue of mining or galamsey, you need to adopt a very holistic approach. It is not about adopting any knee-jerk approach. Ghana, for the last 2 decades, have been experiencing this degradation at an alarming rate. And then we have adopted several approaches to that. Prof. Mills tried solving it by launching the youth in mining scheme in Akwatia. It didn't work. John Dramani Mahama came with arresting, and it never worked. His Excellency Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo came with Galam Stop and then some operations. It achieved a minimal success. In fact, prior to the 2020 elections, there were some achievement until after the 2020 elections, where galamsey during that electioneering period was just used as a campaign tool by his major opponent. And as somebody who belongs to a political party which seeks to achieve 2 things, one, to win an election, and the second, to develop the country. If the very vehicle in which you are going to use to achieve the first is being attacked, you would have to sit back and retreat. Now, galamsey is on the rise. That's become a national canker. And I think that we have to deal with it from a national approach, as I've told you. And then also, I also have to applaud the Minister of Mines, the Minister of Lands and Energy, Honorable Bujinapo, when he met the regional ministers last 3 days. You see, I'm coming from a region where we practice, a region where we have galamsey and a district without any mining. When you go to my district, not that there have not been any attempt to mine in the area. There have been several attempts, but when they come, we adopt a citizen approach.
Mr. Mone, let me just come in here. You're here doing praise and worship of the government.
I'm not doing any praise and worship.
You're saying, and I also hear you say, just a second, sir.
You are not listening to what I am saying.
I am listening exactly to what you're saying.
And
I hear you say we need to.
Yes.
We need to.
Yes.
Meaning that these are steps we need to take.
Yes.
But the MPP has been in power for the past 7 years. Just in December, you'll be 8 years, meaning that you are almost 8 years. The government, the president himself put his presidency on the line. Of course he did. A voice that we've been playing since this intensified fight. There was Operation Vanguard and a whole lot of other activities that came in to fight this. Wait, as we speak, I just mentioned that the Ghana Water Company is saying that it is unable to treat 50 50% of our water. We've just heard Professor there, who is still on video call with us, telling us the impact of illegal mining. We've seen the water bodies. We've seen how many people have died from it. People are even complaining about lack of prosecution. Yes, the other time at the bar conference, we heard the AG talking about 60 or 70 plus cases which are being prosecuted,
yes,
out of 100 and something, with over 800 cases.
Yes.
But you seem to be in a different world, because
So-
the reality is
so-
not what you're painting.
So that is why I said you are not listening to me.
I
Because
am.
if you were listening, you would have noticed that I'm saying that the approach have to be a citizen-led approach. We always seems to blame the political head. But I just gave you a reference that when you go to any Galamsey community, 69.3% of the populace there engage in such an activity. So if you want to tackle it, that is the angles that you should go by. And I was about giving you an example in my district that there have been several attempts to mine, but because we do not want it, anytime we see them, we chase them away.
It's just one
That is
district out of how many?
Two districts.
Out of
Bia
how
East,
many?
Bia West. No, you see, when you want to solve a problem, we have something we call a case study. You can go there and look at the methodologies that we are using to stop Galamsey, and then you can apply it to the larger populace, and then it will work.
How effective have those methodologies you talk
It's
about
been very effective, in as much as of now, there have been no Galamsey in Eliochrome, Adabochrome, Debiso. There have been no Galamsey. It means it's
So how
it's
come we have
effective.
a lot of our water bodies polluted?
Not,
How come?
not- that is what I'm coming. That if you allow, you see, for every Galamsey activity to go on, there are three things that must come into play. You need to have a very big businessman to pre-finance, and then also you would have to have a very connected person, who will pave way for the person to come. And then you must have somebody who is quite popular within the community, be it a chief, be it a religious leader or anybody, to pave the way for the person to come. When these three things come together and then they enter into the community, that is where you have the things happening.
Fantastic. Which
You
big
understand?
businessman have you prosecuted?
You see, but the AG just told you that he has a lot of cases. Do you know all of them?
Do we know the name? Who? Can you give us
But
the
when
name?
you-
Aside
when you-
from Aisha Wan,
No.
at least he mentioned Aisha Wan.
Of course, because Aisha Wan,
Who is a
that's an
foreigner?
example of whether being a foreigner or whether being a Ghanaian, he is a business person financing Galamsey
Do you think you're
activity.
being fair to Ghanaians
I
with
am.
these statistics
You see-
you're giving, when people
see-
are giving us the real reality on the
I
ground?
am also
and we know
telling
it?
you, I am also, you see, you are not listening. You see, you are not listening. I am telling you that Galamsey is a national canker. You admit, I admit. We equally know that Galamsey has a devastating effect on the environment. And the professor have just told us that Galamsey is even affecting mortality and all that. We all accept. But what is the approach to fight Galamsey? Should we be repeating the approaches that we've been implementing, those partisan politics approach, or we are to adopt a very nationalistic approach in dealing with this kind
And that is why I asked you the question.
Right.
For almost
And that
8
is what-
years, you've been implementing a supposed measure that is supposed to deal with
We learn
this.
through experiences. That is why when the minister was giving the order this time around for the military and then the police to patrol this mining site, he never said that they were going to bring a patrol team from Accra or anywhere as previously is, but rather to use the DISEC, which means the District Security Committee there, and then the RISEC, the Regional Security Committee, to do that, because they live in the community, so they better know the people than anybody who come from anywhere.
Mr.
That is
Moni.
why the approach has to be different.
Mr. Moni, you're telling us on national television indirectly that you've been doing trial and error, because you're saying we
It
learn
is not
from
being, no,
experiences, because
don't
we
twist my
haven't
words.
seen the
No,
impact.
don't twist my words. If everything has worked to perfection, perhaps we would not be here discussing
But things have
Galamsey.
gotten worse.
That is why the approach have to be different. It doesn't mean we've been doing trial and error.
So you
It
don't
does
think
not
that
mean like that.
your measures have failed? You don't think
It
so?
worked. The measures worked to some point. I told you that prior to 2020, this was not a discussion. This Galamsey became a very topical issue during the election when the NDC went from one pit to the other, telling people to vote against the NDC because we are prosecuting them. And then I'm here telling you that every political party exists to do two main things. One is to develop the country, and the second is to win elections. And if the very vehicle that you're going to use in achieving the first is being rocked, what do? You would have to re-strategize. You understand? The NDC themselves, you see, that's why I said I wanted to adopt a very nationalistic approach, because the chiefs of Chufu Atimokwa in February had to organize a press conference against the NDC constituency chairman in the area. because they believe he has destroyed 50 hectares of their cocoa farm for illegal activities. But is that the way we have to go? That is not the way to go. That is why I am saying that we should adopt a very nationalistic approach. And one way of doing that is just by regularizing this industry. Because we keep saying that ban mining. Which mining are you going to ban? Because Galamsey in itself is illegal.
To find out how
do you ban something which is already illegal?
And it's taking you almost 8 years to try to regularize them.
Pardon?
It's taking you almost 8 years.
You see, you've not
to find out how to regularize them.
You've not been listening. We tried. We instituted community mining. What was community mining supposed to do? We instituted community mining, of which it's ongoing. Yet we are having spillages, and we are saying that as far as these spillages are concerned, as far as these things are concerned, perhaps we would have to revise our note. Perhaps we would have to revise our note and adopt a different approach. I just gave you in context what Prof. Mills tried to do to stop Galamsey, what His Excellency John Dramani Mahama tried to do to stop Galamsey, what Nana Akufo-Addo tried to do to stop Galamsey. All have been going. It means that if we look through these approaches, we must learn as we live through. We can't say that we want to do things the same way. We will always be achieving the same results. So if the person have lived through all these things and is now proposing different approaches and different methodologies, even as far as the law enforcement is concerned, you say, no, then it means he has been doing trial and error. That is not so. That is definitely not so. So the minister just said the president have ordered that the DISEC and then the RISEC should take the fight. Since they live in those communities, they better know the people. And if you care to know, just yesterday, I think yesterday was 12th of September, the miners themselves at Mankranso in the Ashanti region, the miners themselves went to some illegal people who were, they claim were on the river body, and then seized their equipment and then burned their equipment. The miners themselves. You understand? But when you adopt a citizen-led approach, this is the kind of things you are going to see, and then the place, our whole environment will be safeguarded. I'm
going to Mr. Andrew Appiah Dankwa very shortly, but I just want to remind you that this DISEC thing you talk about, months ago, we had the president mention that any district DCE or MCE which allowed Galamsey in his or her municipality will be dealt with.
Sure.
So this is a renewed call, you mean, because it's not necessarily new?
Well, that was for only the DCEs. And then, as we all know, you cannot...
But that was also supposed to be district and community-led.
District and community, but I said that this approach, the new one, the renewed effort, is quite different. And we must give the ministers the benefit of the doubt to work it out.
I'll come back to you. Andrew Appiah Dankwa, you're a private legal practitioner, and I know you're also with the Movement for Change. Just tell us, really, first, your comment on what the two gentlemen have said, and whether or not, based on these arguments, plus what Prof said, there's a need to ban small-scale mining.
Okay, so let me take this opportunity to wish your lovely viewers a good morning, and yourself a good morning. First time meeting you. Well, I've listened to what Prof said, and what Prof simply saying that the repercussions of bad mining practices are so dire that whoever is put into power, or whoever is granted or is given the privilege of regulating mining, has a huge burden on them, and it's a burden that person must take really seriously. Now, I think the framers of our constitution had that in mind, and that's why they felt that when it came to mining, when it came to how we utilized our natural resources, there's no better person to lead that charge than the president. And they felt that the best and safest framework to do same was for the president to do that as a trustee. Because when you are a trustee, then the burden placed on you, both legally and morally, are meant to be so high. So Article 257 of our Constitution recognized that that any natural resource in the lands of Ghana belongs to the people of Ghana, and yet they are going to invest in the president, or they are going to invest those minerals in the president. So simply to grant him legal title over those natural resources, and he's supposed to hold them in trust for and on behalf of the people of Ghana. The Constitution didn't stop there. It then proceeded to create institutions that will better help the president to manage the trust that has been placed in him. So they created the Minerals Commission, they created the Forestry Commission, and then tax Parliament or give Parliament the power to create any institution whose focus is to aid the president in the discharge of this huge burden that has been placed on him. Now, what has happened over the years is that institutionally, and especially during the watch of Nana Addo, the institutions that have been created to regulate mining have not been strengthened, they've been weakened. And because of that, even though mining is supposed to be a highly regulated activity, the regulator just don't have the logistics or the sheer numbers to regulate. And it's a massive failure of the president.
Aside from the logistics you talk about, how do you mean by they have been weakened?
Yeah, because, so you have what's called a mining inspectorate body. They are supposed to have a mining. So what reason can they give for not even knowing that people were mining outside without licenses or outside the scope of their licenses? You get a picture. And then also, you have a situation where people are mining in forest reserves. People are mining on water bodies, which are supposed to be outlawed. If we had very strong mining, what's called a mining regulatory regime institutions, then why are they happening? Or if they are there and it's happening, then what's the president doing about it in terms of enforcement? We have the police, because mining Galamsey at the bottom line is stealing. When somebody is engaged in Galamsey, they are stealing the property of the state. What's the police doing? You understand? And that's what I'm saying, that the problem is an institutional one, and it's a fundamental failure of government. I heard my brother saying that it should be a citizen-led approach. But then that approach then puts into sharp context then the whole essence of governance or of government. Because the reason why we decide to take government is to prevent anarchy. If the solution to our problems is by we the citizens taking the power or the laws into our own hands, then what we are going to create is anarchy. You understand? There is a reason why we give the president power. There is a reason. And he must not sleep. Clearly he's sleeping. As I've heard UTAG, I've heard a call for as in demonstration. You see, we should be clear. The call should be for the head of the president. He's reneged on his duty as the president of Ghana. He's reneged on his duty as the trustee of the minerals of this country. And that should be the first call. He's here praising the ministers. They've slept. They should be burn down their heads in shame. You understand? The fact that we are here confused between the difference between small-scale mining and Galamsey is even a shame. I
don't think Samuel Abu-Janapong may agree with you. He doesn't think that the call on him to resign is needful. He
doesn't. And you see, if he's patriotic himself, he'll if we're in a serious country, Abu-Janapong will resign. If we're in a serious country with all that is happening to our environment, with the radical abuse of our ecosystem, with the extent to which our very existence has been put at peril because of what is happening, Abu-Janapong should resign. And as I'm saying that, my brother here is talking about citizens. You understand? Now the Constitution says in Article 69 that one, where the president has breached the terms of the oath he took. You understand? Where the president has breached the terms of the oath he took, then he must be impeached. And clearly he's breached the terms of the oath he took. Please don't laugh. I don't like that.
Oh, you can go.
No. It's very, very disrespectful to be laughing when somebody is making a submission. You understand? I take serious exceptions to it.
I've heard you.
I won't laugh. I didn't disagree with what you were saying, but I didn't laugh. You understand? You see, we must be serious, because you see, to solve these issues, I think a president has to be made. And I think because of the extent to which the president has slept on his job, to the detriment of the country, to the detriment of the safety of the country, to the detriment of our lives, our livelihoods, then he should be called to, or the call to be impeached for the president to be impeached should be heightened. Secondly, I understand there's a debate on whether or not mining, small-scale mining, should be banned.
Indeed, I was going to draw your attention to it again.
Understand? Now, Galamsey is already outlawed. Galamsey is already outlawed, so you can't ban an activity that is already outlawed.
So the challenges, which I think you've answered partly.
So I want to go to a second issue. Now, we are talking about, or what we are seeing here is an environmental impact of a fundamental failure to regulate mining. And I think that the Mining Act itself grants the minister, where he's giving you a license to mine, to revoke that license where in satisfaction of a national security threat. I think that it is beyond contestation that where we are with mining, small-scale mining, and its impact, is a national security issue. And our environment needs to heal. Because of that, I firmly believe that we need to ban small-scale mining for a while, maybe a year, 2 years. One, to grant the environment itself the opportunity to heal. Two, to then look and tackle the issue of a fundamental inability or failure of the bodies tasked with regulating mining to be reconstituted or to be re-looked at. Because clearly there is an issue with the regulator, from the president to the minister to the bodies tasked with the job of regulating mining. As in, he was talking about DISEC, because per our mining laws, in every district we have a body set up to more or less regulate, not as in at the district level. Why is there no rep from the Forestry Commission in that committee? Because there's no rep from, but we are talking about sustainable development here. And sustainable development is simply utilizing our natural resources, one for economic gain, without impacting or minimizing the impact of such utilization on our environment. You understand? So for me, I think the call to ban temporarily is not a permanent ban. Or after all, even for the small scale mine, you don't give them licenses more than 5 years. They don't give them licenses more than 5 years. But our environment, our soil, has been plagued in deep sickness. And I think that we must give the environment, the soil, the river bodies, an opportunity to heal itself. And because of that, I think we should put a temporary ban, maybe 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. And then also have a look at our mining regime. And thirdly, and that's the most important thing, that the call by organized labor, the call by the rank and file of this country is to apportion and appropriate blame for this crime that has been done to our country.
Crime?
Yeah, crime, of course. And when we give power to somebody, we give powers as high as executive authority. We create in you a trust. And in spite of the powers we've given you, powers we gave you for you to use to advance our common agenda. And you use those, you sit down and you sleep. Because I know my senior here mentioned a report. You understand? And the government or the president can disavow that report. But the fact is, we are all seeing the impact of those reports. But that report made a claim that in 2018, and we all heard that claim, that in 2018, the president gave clear instructions to his minister, ban all mining activities in forest reserves. In spite of that call, we all know that people, Ghanaians, have illegally entered into our forest reserves and are mining there. What has the president done? What has the president done? And so, for the long-term safety of this country, a precedent must be set. And I'm saying that it's not enough for you tag and say that we are calling and we want a demonstration. The demonstration to do what? That demonstration is to call for the head of the president to ask that the president should be impeached, because the simple tax we gave him, he slept on it. He slept on that tax to the detriment of every single Ghanaian. Why is it still there? What systems are we putting in place to ensure that people we give our powers to? Because you made a great point. You made a great point, because in tackling this issue, we need to also look at the past. People we give powers to, what did they do in the past? And how do we use our experiences and how those experiences are impacting us right now to ensure that there is no repetition? You understand? And the best way of preventing this is to set a precedent, so that there's a deterrence. So when we give our political powers to people with a clear tax, powers that they take oath to fulfill, and they renege on those trusts, those obligations, then there must be consequences. And I think that we can start. I know the president has less than 100 years to go, but we can start.
100 days, you mean?
Sorry, 100, thanks, 100 days to go. But we can start. But even if he has 1 day to go, that we call for his impeachment. So when people take this political powers, they know that they are not taking those powers to pursue their personal agenda. They are not taking those powers to pursue their party agenda. But we are giving them those powers for just one purpose: to pursue a Ghana agenda. And if you do not pursue that Ghana agenda with the powers we've given you, then you've lost every legitimacy to continue holding those powers. And that should be the first call.
Mr. Appiah Danquah, I'll come back to you and Mr. Maliba. You want to make a point?
The issue about government officials neck deep in this matter and the reason for which they have not been able to fight this canker is growing more and more. A new company has been formed called Sam and Jan Company Limited. And you check the background of this company, it is somebody who is in government, who is actually controlling a municipality. Now you send such a person to go and fight Galamsey, and he has applied to mine in a forest reserve. So when I say lack of political will, I wasn't playing politics, just to call a spade a spade. We have a report, from Paul Boatin's report. Can we look into those cases and deal with them? Nobody will do it. So we are now faced with the canker head on. They say in 2030 something we are going to import water.
2030.
2030 we are going to import water. Now, do you also know that it is against human rights for water, which is a source of drinking water for a community, to be polluted? It amounts to amounts to genocide in international law when you pollute the source of drinking water. Day in, day out, look at the color of our water. So how long should we wait when these things are staring in our faces? But for me, it is about those who are mandated to fight the canker are themselves neck deep. And that's why we can't fight it.
So I'll come back to you on how long should we wait, Mr. Maliba, and also come back to you, Mr. Muni. But let's get some word from Professor Osei, who is still on the line with us. Prof, you heard there Mr. Appiah Danquah telling us that there's a need to give our lands some space to heal. He's talking about 1 year, he's talking about 2 years. From where you sit, how do you think we can reclaim our lands?
Well, thank you so much. But let me first make this point clear. I'm not here to involve in any politics. I'm just here to state the facts as per my research work and so on and so forth. So basically, I want to be out of the politics in it. But of course, somebody will say that everybody is a politician in one way or the other. But there are people who are actually actively participating in politics. So let it be so. But then I have already said, and I keep saying that what is happening is the research has been done. We have a lot of research findings all over. But then beyond the research, what is it that we seek to achieve? First, we seek to draw the attention of the populace, especially those in power, those who seek to enact laws for us, that this is what is happening. And if you are able to use those research data or research findings, we will be in a position to resolve so many problems. And so I will suggest that research, as far as I'm concerned, as far as researchers are concerned, I believe that most government gives some fund for research to be conducted in various universities. Those research works are not supposed to be sitting on our shelves or in books where foreigners utilize our research work to the extent that they even invite some of our researchers to go to their country and have some form of some collaborations with them. So research is very important, that any government that wants to progress, that wants to achieve something should, actually look into research that most lecturers and most scientists actually conduct. So even looking at the manifestos of both political parties, both NDC and NPP, I read through, especially when I wanted to have a look at what they have for Galamsey, or they say, let's say, illegal mining or small-scale mining. In fact, small-scale mining, we're trying to actually mix the two. But small-scale miners are also neck deep into this degradation of the environment. No doubt about that. They are also into that, because what they do is that when they mine, they don't cover their pits. They don't replant. They don't do anything. they also use all manner of means to extract their ore. So they are also contributing to the pollution of the air and so on and so forth. So they cannot exonerate themselves from whatever is happening here. That is a fact. So I believe that the government, in as much as is helping in research in the universities, this time, like I support the fact that Mr. Pierre Dankwa, the private legal practitioner, what he said, yes, the land needs to be healed. And how does it heal? We need to go into research. There are so many means by which we can use to reclaim the land. I mean, clean the environment, clean the air and our water bodies. And that one, I didn't see any of the two main political parties saying that when they come, in as much as we cannot ban the mining perpetually, we would like to go into research into how best we can mine at the same time reclaiming the land and, I mean, purifying our water bodies and then purifying the air. Nobody did anything like that. All I saw is that somebody was claiming that they will come and plant 300,000 bamboos. Bamboos are not plants that can reclaim any polluted water. We cannot reclaim any polluted air. We cannot reclaim any polluted land. So bamboo planting is one of the most useless things that can ever be used in telling us that that is the way they will use to establish or whatever reclaim the land.
Prof,
it's one.
Prof, let me just get your final words in about 40 seconds. And it
also, let me finish. We should also try to strengthen the environmental mining laws. We should depoliticize the Galamsey crisis, and there should be a call to action, and we should empower traditional authorities to be able to do what they are mandated to do. And also, we should involve the parliament and local government and security services in managing some of these things. But basically, the leaders or the two political parties should set up a serious research team. Well, I believe that Ghana, we have Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences. They are just sitting there. Nobody is actually looking into them, giving them funds to go into research. They should go into that, give them the needed support to be able to do research and come out with some of these findings that will probably help us to reclaim whatever has been destroyed. Because what is done, it will take years, tens of years, hundreds of years to get the whole land and the water bodies cleansed again. Thank you so much.
Yes, so, Prof, what I was coming to you on, which I asked for about 40 seconds, was, in the meantime, what we must do, because we know that some food sellers like Acheke are using alum to clear the water just so they can have good water to prepare their food. And I also suppose that the cyanide and all the chemicals could be seeping through our soil beyond the immediate areas of the mining communities. How do we tackle this? Just
That's
about
what
40 seconds.
Yes, it's not something that is going to come easy, because we are looking at TBT or the TBT of the water bodies being destroyed by sedimentation from soil and so on and so forth. The metals, when they get there, they get suspended in these water bodies. So basically, if you hear parliamentarians saying that, oh, this party came in and the turbidity was this and we have come, it has increased or it has decreased to that, they are all not the fact. In fact, you are right. Acheke, I believe, is done, prepared by cassava, isn't it?
Yes.
And cassava itself is a plant that actually absorbs a lot of this cyanide. So you can imagine the sort of problem that we are going through. I'm not scaring anybody though, but that is a fact. That is a fact. So if the water bodies are already having a lot of these metals, especially mercury, and these mercury are easily absorbed in the intestines, and they can cause all manner of problems. I'm not saying that you shouldn't eat your acheke. Go ahead and eat your acheke, but the people who are using the waters to prepare their achekes should be also mindful of the fact that there are a lot of suspended heavy metals in those water bodies, and so that is where the problem is placed. I'm not destroying anybody or trying to spoil anybody's business, but that is a fact.
But the alum, does it even work?
The alum will only settle the clay and then the soil in the water, but the mercury and all those things cannot settle it. So the water that we are drinking in Ghana that we claim to be pure water, how pure is the water? When we have even the rubbers that we use to sell we used to sell the water in are all something that sometimes can also be contaminated and have problems for us. So that's the problem, please.
Quite
It's a
serious
problem.
there.
So I believe that the politicians should actually depoliticize the Galamsey crisis, and then we all fight it headlong. And nobody should think that if we stop Galamsey, the whole Ghana will collapse. No, Ghana will not collapse. Ghana will continue to thrive, and Ghana will continue to succeed. So the very few, in fact, statistics show that only about 3 million people are involved in this Galamsey, including those that they claim to have employed. So they are not more than the 33 million Ghanaian population that are not doing it. Do you understand? So basically, we should be very careful about it, and that we shouldn't play politics with it, that they are employing people, they are this and that. Galamsey, like I said, the armed robbers are also employing. They also employ young boys and girls in the activity. Can we condone that? No.
Prof, we'll have to end it here. Thank you so much. Professor Paul Sampene Osei is a pathologist, scientist, senior lecturer at the KNUST, giving us a graphic representation, really, of what's happening on the ground as regards illegal mining. Let me just get the final thought on this, and then we'll move on to the next conversation. And I'm coming to you, Ms. Abraham Amaliba. You asked the question before I went to Prof, and I pray that we'll be able to do this in 1 minute each. You said, how long should we wait?
Yes, and that question goes to the managers of this country. But I think that immediately, let's declare water bodies as security zones. Because when you're entering Burma camp, you see how you are stopped, and then the man is in that uniform and checking your car. We have gotten to a point that that is how we do it. That water bodies should be declared as security zones. 2, let the president call all his people who are engaged in it. And there are examples to show. It is not like there's no evidence. If he doesn't know them, he should go to the Frimpong Boaten's report. He will see them. Let them stay away immediately. Immediately, let them stay away. They have amassed enough. What if they don't continue for the next 85 days? Yeah, they will not go hungry.
Ms. Amaliba, I want to move to the
No, what is that? What is that? You are just stopping me in mid-air. I am saying that. Okay, go to them.
No, go ahead.
When I'm talking about the president, you are feeling uncomfortable.
No, it's not about that.
So the president should call his people to order. He knows them. Let him do like that Santini has been doing. Call them to order and let them know that. As for the president resigning, it's a tall order. He won't. In some countries, he himself will resign. Abu Jinakpo resigning is a tall order. He will do it. So impeachment, they have 37, the people will support him. So it is, for me now, for President Akufo-Addo to say that I am now going to leave office. I'm getting old now. Let me live with a good name. And so let him do things that will ensure that our water bodies come back to life. And these are the examples he can do. Use the military, declare them as military zones, and then tell his people to vacate the places.
Let me ask you one question, and please, I'll be happy if you can answer it very briefly for me. Is the former president still going to go through with his promise ahead of the 2020 general election that he will release all Galamseyers who have been imprisoned by the president?
He would release those who are the small fishes. He will go for, and your man made a point, that there are kingpins. They have been left. So he will go after those ones. And I think, because if you go after those ones, the kingpins, the fishes will not do anything.
Let me come to you, Mr. Appiah Danquah. Your final thought on this, and then briefly, hopefully in a minute, we can look at the Electoral Commission and robust voters register.
Well, I think the issues for me are straightforward. One, let's apportion blame and call for accountability in the evil that has been done to this country. And contrary to what my brother here is saying, I think I'm calling that we should take steps to impeach the president. You see, when you feel it is on record that Nana Addo was impeached, the impeachment process just didn't, was Donald Trump on his record, he was impeached. Andrew Johnson saying, you understand, Bill Clinton. And 2, let's cause a ban on small-scale mining. You understand? Maybe 2 years, 3 years, like I'm saying, allow the system itself to heal. And then let us then look into our regulatory regime. You understand? Look at it, and then and enhance the institutions so that they can better regulate mining. Because we all agree, mining has the potential of transforming this country. But that potential will be lost if it's not regulated, if mining is done in such a way that our environment itself is impacted. And finally, to say what Alan Chamanten himself would do, he's like, when he comes, he will eliminate Galamsey straight up. And two, he will look at the regime I'm talking about. You see, one of the reasons why we are struggling is because we've relegated the chieftaincy, the chiefs, and they own largely the lands. We have to find a way of also creating in them, together with the president as trustees. And that one, you have both the government itself and our local authorities joining forces in regulating mining. And finally, government needs to support the Ghanaians, are people who are involved in small-scale mining. As in when we start the mine after the ban, government needs to find a way of supporting them, not just in terms of money, but also training them and making them able to mine in a sustainable manner.
Mr. George Money, are you going to tell the government, perhaps the president, that the panel here and perhaps other Ghanaians are calling for the big fishes, the whales and the dolphins, to be arrested and leave the small ones alone?
I think that the president is showing leadership in this, the minister is showing leadership in this fight. And then also, to end on what the professor said, he says that UTAG must make use of the research allowance which was cancelled by the NDC, but have been brought back by the NPP. They should make use of that and conduct researches into some of these things so they can provide good solutions. Also, I wonder why people are calling for the head of the president when the LI 2462 was passed by Parliament, which allows forest reserves to be mined. Perhaps the anger should be directed to the doorsteps of the parliamentarians as to why they passed that. And then also to say that whenever something or whenever a policy or anything is implemented, we set out the clear objectives, and then also we set out evaluation criteria and then also have our monitoring framework so we can monitor. In the course of monitoring, in the course of evaluating, if you see that the actions are not going on well, you adopt a different strategy. As we all know, Galamsey affects both the inhabitants as well as it affects the leaders, which means that a holistic approach needs to be adopted. I always say sovereignty relies in the people. So when the people say that they are never going to allow Galamsey to happen, it will never happen. And then also I always say that if you go to the mining areas, you will realize that the professor was talking about pits. They are talking about pits because they do not have access to proven data. What they do is try and error. I don't know whether you've been there. When they go and they dig the Nkomena, they can do about 3, 4, 5 Nkomena before they can get the gold. And then the person will never come back to reclaim the holes he's dug, right? So in the NPP manifesto, what Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is promising is that we need to give access and proven data to these small-scale mines. And the second one is that we also have to simplify the licensing regime and give more power to the chiefs, because chiefs, per the Ghanaian law, the chiefs control about 78% of the land. It resides in them. So when you empower them and when you change the licensing regime for them to play a role, we think that is going to help. And then also, that is your Mahine. It resides in your Mahine, not the small chiefs. And then also, we are saying that the methodology would have to change. The use of mercury, cyanide, and lead and those things would have to change, which means that we need to empower these small-scale miners to do so. There is one thing that the NPP manifesto done, that when you look through all the research which have been conducted, and then also some writings of Professor Famie as well as his work, I was so happy when I saw it, was to construct resettlement dams. Professor Famie, God bless his soul, was able to do small-scale mining where he dug his own water and then had his own dam, which had no effect on the environment in our wind. People paid money just to go and see how he and his partners were doing that. The NPP manifesto captures that. And then also the NPP is saying that we will have to reclaim you know, reclamation, it's the best way to go. I have experience in that because I quite remember in 2017.
We'll be glad if you could wrap up in 30
yes,
seconds.
I'm wrapping up. What we wrote to the Ghana Cocoa Board is that immediately Galamsey they finish with the land. The land is just left there. It doesn't belong to the chief. It doesn't belong to anybody.
So you're talking about now, and he's talking about future.
So what we had to do, or what we ought to do, is to reclaim this land, plant root plants, like tuber plants, which can absorb this lead. You plant them, you destroy it, and for some period of time, the land becomes very suitable. You can plant your cocoa, and then the cocoa cultivation grows up. That was our proposal to Ghana Cocoa Board, of which they accepted. And then when you come to Western North now, they are implementing it. So when you go to BBN, you see a lot of.
But what you're saying, in the past 7 years, it wasn't implemented.
I'm telling you that when you go to BBN, you will see it happening. It doesn't mean for the past 7 years it has not been happening. You see, we should stick to facts, and then we should stick to context in which the person is speaking, and not to allude to anything.
Thank you very much, George Moni. He is Assistant Regional Secretary, Western North of the governing New Patriotic Party. You heard him there defending the records or the work of the current government. We've also had with us Abraham Amaliba, NDC Director of Conflict and Resolution, also telling us really what we need to do and what must be done to deal with this canker on our necks. Andrew Apia Dankwa, private legal practitioner with Movements for Change. Unfortunately, we are unable to talk about the Electoral Commission matter, but also we had Professor Paul Sampene Osei, pathologist, scientist, senior lecturer, KNUST, giving us a graphical representation of the impact of illegal mining on our water bodies, on our lives, and in our communities. And that will be the end of big issues here on New Day. Coming up next is sport, and of course, the program continues. Don't go away.
Prophecy time.
Abraham and Sarah, Mubanya twins. Go and buy jackets. You are going to Canada. Hallelujah. The best born Wamba. Master, what the card do? You go to jail. Born a wow. What you need? Because of my mepa. Business in bread, school fees, chop money. Funeral bills, suppliers, in-laws. Side chicks. Or yes, I book count. Oh, how na spiritual. For bills. Bills micro credit. You see why?
Bills micro credit.
From Mbebwa. Ati. Kwanako from. Next.
Everyone is running to Bills. Enjoy the peace of mind that comes with acquiring any of our loan facilities. For whoever you are and whatever you're doing, Bills has a product for you. No susu, no deposits. All you need is your Ghana card. Bills, financing your needs.
Hello, Bills.
When you're well rested, you work at your best. Well, maybe it's not so far-fetched. You can play online games on 1xBet. Roll and have a chance to win. Tap and have a chance to win. Spin and have a chance to win. 1x Games. Fun to play, have a chance fast to win.
This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. Bet responsibly, not for persons below 18 years. Gambling can be addictive.
Welcome to Rehoboth Havens, a tranquil oasis in the serene surroundings of Ayi Mensa Danfa. Discover Sand Bay, our
if it's for your clothes, now wash your feelings and then may your pride. Tango Prime, wash my creamy, you're nice. Maybe I need, maybe I am fine. Be spotless and be bright. Has fire fabrics and it's gentle on your hands. Tango Prime, wash my creamy, you're nice. Maybe I need, maybe I am fine. Be spotless and be bright.
Everybody knows Acrobato.
And if you know Acrobato, it means you know M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic. M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic is my pillar. Let's hear what others are saying about M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic. Who will be careful M-Punch one?
Chesena me ankasa me period na say problems wom ntina ma wo ho idea ma me papa chesena nya asem ketewa na me kwan point no mo hwe me modam no mo hwe bibia na so mo meduro me fire no ene ma won kra me enu foforo kwa na mkwan mu a eba. Head everything yourself. Me ma me no